From the four corners of the globe they come, to the edge of the known world. Chaos, Norsca, Greenskins, and Dawi, facing down the Tomb Kings, Dark Elves, Lizardmen, and Skaven. Here, under a blazing sun and the watchful gaze of Gork and Mork, 8 armies will do battle at the Barrier Idols, repping their continents proudly in the biggest East vs. West beef since Biggie and Tupac. I think this is the biggest Subcommanders battle I've ever played. 3v3 generally is the sweet spot between scale and performance, but these ones worked out real nice, so I might end up doing some more 4v4s. It's the old guard meets new school as alien technology clashes with the rank and file of ancient empires. Representing the chilly northwest, it's Malekith and Khalida, because the dumbass wasn't listening to the entire point of the Subcommanders, I guess. Should have been Katep or the Exiles of Nahet, because they're in the northwest, but I didn't notice it until I went back to look at the replay, so whatever. Which king will command the cavalry with Dread Knights, Cold One Knights, and the mighty Seraphon flying overhead? He'll be holding down that north side with a powerful heavy knight contingent. A lot of armor piercing, a lot of DPS amongst them, and with Seraphon protecting them, yeah, that's a scary contingent for sure. Khalida is Team Construct, whether it shoots from range or blends stuff in melee. If it's a marble statue, it's all gravy, and the Sphinx of Usak is probably the most magnificent example of that philosophy. In the southwest, Clan Pestilence and the Lizardmen of Itza, representing Lustria. I'm playing as the Skaven with artillery and technology, from Plague Wind mortars to catapults, doom flayers, and warp grinders, supported by the infantry of the Great White Lizard. Gorok, 2 dismounted Scarvets, bunch of Saurus, Temple Guard, Skinks, and a solo Stegodon to round out the rest of the build. Hashtag West Side, and for the East Side, Wulfric and Archaon, representing the Northeast, with the Greenskins and Dawi representing the Southeast of the Warhammer world. The Everchosen rolling deep with the Chaos Knight and Shaggoth hit squad. Pretty terrifying combination. They're looking to get aggressive from the Bell, flanking the southern cliffs and operating all by themselves. Across this battered wasteland come the Green Tide and the Dwarf Deluge, fighting back to back like reunited lovers. Even in Warhammer, love can bloom on the battlefield. Savage Orc Wa with Warzak the Great Green Prophet. Crimson Killer supported by Dawi Artillery, and Iron Drakes, Napalm spewing forth across this beaten zone. Rangers, a Rune Lord, a couple Flame Cannons, and 2 Mammoths, Soul Crusher and Wulfric the Wanderer, alongside a bunch of Fimir and a Fimir Balefiend with Berserker support. So, that's the east side, the eastern hemisphere of the Warhammer world. You can see both armies are pretty gigantic. About 5,000 models on the field right now. It's gonna get pretty scary for both sides because the artillery is pretty overwhelming on both sides. I am gonna refer to each team as their hemisphere just to keep it a little bit easier. So Dwarfs, Greenskins are East Hemisphere, and the Skaven, Lizardmen, Dark Elf side is Western Hemisphere. So it's East and West, gonna make it a little bit easier to call that out. Now Chaos is getting super aggressive early with the Chaos Knights and the Shaggoths, but they're still isolated. They're gonna wanna hold on, use those cliffs as protection, not invest too much into an early assault, because early cav action in Warhammer doesn't really work very well. In some of the earlier games where things were squishier and would die in a single cav charge, like Medieval 2, Shogun 2, that kind of thing, it could work. Doesn't really work as well here, especially when you're going up against 4 armies. That's a lot of... Whoa! That's a big old volley coming in from the Dwarf Cannons. Skank's getting torn apart by that opening salvo. But yeah, you don't want to really do early cav action when you're talking 4v4s because you really have to go up against 4 players, which means they're gonna have the tools to shut you down early. I think Archaon and the Shaggoths are right to take the hill and just kind of enjoy the show. Watch what's happening. They do have to be wary. It could zap cannon, bunch of rattling guns, Jezzails, all that stuff, including the Stegodon can fire in and kill multiple models per shot with that armor-piercing bow. So yeah, the Chaos Knights, they're gonna retreat. It's a control group, so it's getting a little bit stuffed up alongside that cliff. They'll move to the top for now, but not before they take a few volleys from the Natty Bubo sharpshooters and the rest of the armor-piercing long-range options. Jezzails, on the other flank, already firing into the Savage Orc Wa, and the Greenskins are moving up. They're earnest, they're angry, they're ready to get into close quarters melee and start chopping through stuff, and the artillery from both sides will open up now. Big explosions ripping through infantry formation. Saurus can feel the brunt of the Dwarf Cannons, while Savage Orcs feel the wrath of the Plague Claw catapults. Bathing in buboes. Not super enjoyable. I'm not sure Greenskins can fall prey to disease particularly easily, but the explosions will certainly do some damage. Wah pops, and the Greenskins are going right in. Savage Orcs taking a bunch of Giselle fire from the flanks. Artillery wrecking those Saurus, already way past half HP, off the charge. A couple artillery volleys will do that. The Rattling Guns will move up and get ready to fire in. Now, the Giselles are going to be a really important factor here. They don't have a lot of high-value threats to fire at yet for the moment, just shooting into the high physical resist and no shield block chance of the Savage Orcs, but once the Mammoths and the rest of the single entity start getting committed, that's really what they're going to want to fire into. Still, they can paste you, decapitate a bunch of Savage Orcs, and the Plague Wind Mortars also opening up now with a Warp Lightning from the Warlock Master and his Doom Wheel. Bit blobby on the left side for the Greenskins and Norsca, but Fimir should be able to push through, and they're actually surrounding a Tomb Scorpion. Might be able to take that down early, but will it be worth it with all the Plague Wind raining from the heavens and Seraphon maybe looking to get a breath attack in too? Not sure. There's a lot of routing already. Shifting back towards the center. Purple Sun Azarius flashing in the background, destroying a bunch of the front line, and Kalita popping Venom Wave when she's trying to use her Venom Staff. I feel that. Happens to me every time I use her, feels like. There we go. That's the Venom Staff, punishing these uncultured barbarians in the center, and Ikit's Zap Zap Cannon, unleashing some not-so-friendly fire, routing a few Dark Riders, but Chaos Knights retreating to the safety of the cliffs. Rest of the Shaggus and Archaon, though, coming in from the side, and they want to shut down all this artillery. They're looking for an opening. They're circling like angry vultures, but the Warp Grinders are ready to receive the charge, and Stalkers are there as well. The Eyes in the Desert, and that's going to be a brutal combination. Chaos Knights decided to go in. Not the right call. Warpquake going to slow their speed. Seismic Snare going to pin them in place. Shaggoth can't go anywhere. Rattling Guns in support. Stalkers in support, and that's a slam dunk. Rattling Guns moving the Chaos Knight speed down to 10. Even if they weren't pinned in place, they wouldn't be able to go anywhere. That's a Piercing Bolts of Burning from Archaon. Gonna Shrek those poor Teethbreaker Rattling Guns, taking them down to half HP, killing 4 or 5 models as well. But yeah, I mean, that's really big. Shutting down all that aggression from the Chaos Knights, destroying a big contingent of their heavy cavalry force. Pretty big deal. But the Mammoths in the center, oh my god, they're just absolutely destroying these poor Lizardmen infantry who are kind of being left on an island. Completely isolated, nothing to support them really. I mean, there's a lot of range fire coming in, but not a lot of monsters in the front rank. Seraphon and the rest of the high value stuff dealing with the Chaos Knights over on the left flank. And now coming up the middle are some more Chaos Knights, the ones that took refuge on that cliff. Again though, when they're fighting like this, without the support of the main line, it's going to be really difficult for them to get in and cause a lot of damage. Rattling Guns will receive their charge, unleashing a short little volley before they inevitably get charged, but there's only a handful of the Chaos Knights left, and now here comes everybody. Warp Grinders to Warpquake them, to Seismic Snare them, to pin them in place. Stegodon coming in from behind, huge charge. Skorok and the Scarvets coming in as well. They're going to break immediately. Rattling Guns can now open up, and to top it all off, Dread Knights, Sepulchral Stalkers, and Malekith. Talk about overkill, but that is some glorious teamwork, pinning those Chaos Knights from 4 different locations, surrounding them, destroying them. They are out of the fight for good. Berserkers and Temple Guard going at it in the infantry grind, but a Tomb Scorpion coming out of nowhere might be enough to shift this in their favor. Yeah, that's going to be a glorious charge from the flank, and the Brutes of the Hound will quickly find themselves overwhelmed. But the Flame Cannons have been firing this entire time, so have the Iron Drakes, and the Dwarfen Artillery Box is still a huge issue. Not a lot of good ways to get in and amongst the artillery, and what you'll notice in these Subcommanders games is the artillery has a much bigger chance to make a huge impact because you've got so many armies protecting it, so many different players protecting it. Really nice Pit of Shades, destroying a huge swath of the infantry force, killing a bunch of the Temple Guard that were dealing with those Brutes of the Hound earlier. Giselles trying to take down the Iron Drakes, the Dwarf Iron Drakes, and they're moving up way too far. I think they've been mismicroed. Yeah, they're YOLOing into the center of the enemy formation, just charging straight up. The Sphinx of Ustak would actually not be very good against them because they have such high flame resist, and that thing deals flaming damage, but Does it really matter? I mean, it's surrounded by cobras, statuettes, tomb scorpions, infantry, ranged firepower coming in too. Yeah, not good for them. One of the big issues, in fact, with manual attack orders, if something routes off and you forget that you gave them that attack order, they will chase them to the end of the earth, and that can lead to their untimely death. Mammoths are stomping these Temple Guard. Fimir also helping out. I mean, all that armor sundering, all that AP and bonus infantry. Temple Guard were not going to be able to survive that kind of onslaught. But the Crimson Killers are feeling the effects of a lot of the Skaven ranged firepower. Oh, it's a Soul Stealer. It's 2 Giselles. Rattling guns about to open up too. And Mastodons mulching maliciously through the Temple Guard ranks. Lizardmen infantry have not had the support they need to take on these monsters. They need Seraphon or some kind of huge single entity like the Sphinx of Usak to stop their way over and help out. Because infantry just can't do it. When they're fighting by themselves against 2 mammoths and all those monstrous infantry, it's just too much armor-piercing damage going their way. So far, Malekith hasn't really been committed to any dangerous fight, but it is good to hold on to them to the late game because that's where they can really make that impact. If they go in too early when it's 4v4s, multiple teams can team up on you, they can goon you out, and then you lose your lord, and you lose a lot of your killing power. So being conservative isn't such a bad idea. There will come a time where Malekith and the dragon need to get stuck in. Shaggoth is down to about half HP. We've got a monster mash brewing in the middle of this battlefield. Dread Knights, Knights of the Ebon Claw, Shaggoths, a lot of monsters stomping that way. Sphinx of Usak was bodying Wulfric and that War Mammoth for a bit, but Fight or Die has popped. He's retreating, and now the Soul Crusher and the rest of the monsters, including that Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, are beating up on that poor Tomb King's construct. I figured at this point in the battle, it was time for the Hell's Angels, the Sons of Anarchy, the Biker Gang, to let their presence be known. I've committed them to melee now. Oh, that's a huge piercing bolt of burning about to drop on the Knights of the Ebon Claw and the Cold Ones. Oh man, they just went into melee. They were full HP. They got attacked by Archaon, by a Mammoth, by a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth, and they just insta-routed, and the Sphinx of Usak is now dead. But my Warlock Master on his hamster wheel of doom and destruction and death, and the Dwarf Thing Menace rolling alongside the Biker Gang are having a whale of a time over here. They're just completely operating on this flank where nothing can stop them. Running over everything, Longbeards have no chance of shutting them down. The artillery is focused somewhere else, seeing Vindictive Glare smacking Seraphon in the booty far in the background. But this is glorious for the Skaven. I mean, there is not a whole lot that can stop their rampage right now. Both the Doom Wheel and the Dwarf Thing Menace Doom Flayers are tailor-made for slicing through Dawi, as their names would imply. And now there's an opening to get into the rear and start shutting down all that artillery. Game is still dead even. We're 11 minutes in. It's been epic so far, dude. Poison Wind Mortars raining death from above, destroying a bunch of Longbeards. Temple Guard holding out against a Rune Lord who probably does not want to take that fight. It's very manly, a very dwarfish thing to do, just YOLO into the center of their formation, but I don't think they want to do that. And then a Scarvet beating up on a Fimir Balefiend who needs to run. Harpies patrolling the skies. Another Warp Grinder, Warp Crate, Seismic Snare, pinning the Dragon Ogres in place, and Malekith going in with a Word of Pain, minus 44 melee attack. Some kind of Vortex is about to drop. Is that another Pit of Shades? Yes, it is. From the Fimir Balefiend. Not too much important infantry in there, and it won't do any damage to the constructs or single entities whatsoever, so it's a good idea, but I don't think it will save the Dragon Ogres. So much range firepower still crisscrossing the battlefield too, and the Ikit Zip Zap cannon firing in on the Soul Crusher. Wulfric and his Mammoth are still alive too, and the Everchosen on his last gasp, on life support, trying to take down the Warp Lightning Cannon. Dwarf Thing Menace and the Doom Wheel bouncing from artillery piece to artillery piece, trying to destroy all of it. Gromril, will it blend? Will it blend when you're running it over with Doom Flayers? The answer is yes, and actually the artillery crew don't even have Gromril armor, so it won't really matter. Question is, can that artillery actually stop them up long enough for the rest of this infantry and monster support to come in and help out? Doom Wheel going straight for that back dwarf cannon. There's a Night Goblin Shaman smacking them in the butt, and Wurzag, Effigy of the Git, Oh god, that's gonna alley-oop it up straight into Hunter of Champions from Wulfric the Wanderer. Oh, that Doom Wheel is completely pinned in place. I thought I had an opportunity to shut down all these cannons. Not gonna quite be able to do it. I might lose my Warlock Master for my trouble. Effigy of to get into Hunter of Champions is a brutal combo. That's like Shaq breaking the backboard from an alley-oop from Kobe. Rest in peace, man. And speaking of dunking, we got a Scarvet dueling it out with a bunch of Ulthar's Rangers, bisecting them with that huge spear. Now, I don't actually know how that would go. I would imagine a Scarvet would probably lose that in a full-on fight if they just went toe-to-toe from full HP to full HP, because they got all that AP. And talking of AP, Rattling Guns demolishing what remained of the HP on that Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. He'll flip over and call it a day. Put him on a roll because he's toast. He's butter because he's on a... It's one of those. I don't know. Call him butter because he's on a roll. Flip him over because he's done cooking. It's something like that. Anyway, we got Seraphon, Malekith, and a Dragon Ogre Shaggoth dueling it out. The two Rattling Guns have turned their malevolent gaze towards that monstrosity. And even though Seraphon might be able to finish this Shaggoth off anyway, no reason to let Malekith take unnecessary damage, so let's unleash with a couple volleys of machine gun fire. Second Shaggoth will drop in as many minutes. It's actually only been like a minute. And Seraphon will take off happily, knowing that he's done his duty. Plagueclaw catapults are ripping apart Ekron's miners over on this flank. And it's still even. Soul Crusher and Wulfric's Mammoth, though, have gotten beaten up pretty bad. Archaon going for a duel with the Warlock Master. The Warp Lightning Cannon shot will miss. But the full surround off, this is all armor-piercing damage. Couple spins. Just rip it up like a Beyblade. And you know what? He's gonna style on him. Gonna run over his face with the Dwarf Thing Menace Doomflare. And they'll ride off into the sunset. And the Ever-Chosen is dead. That's a big swing. What's left for Team Westside and Team Eastside? Westside might have a slight advantage at this point. They certainly have an advantage in the Legendary Lord contingent. Malekith is still alive. The Warlock Master is still alive. He did come back after that alley-oop combo that almost saw his death. Crimson Killers and Black Orcs are breaking. Wurzag's full HP, but he's on foot. Runelord's doing fine, but he's also on foot, so not particularly scary. We got Dark Riders fighting Black Orcs, which is typically not where they want to be. They're gonna get cut down to size, for sure. Their poor malnourished steeds feeling the wrath of those huge choppas. Greenskins slicing through there. And the Stegodon looking like it might go down to the Miststalker's Fimir. And the rest of those Fimir Grey Weapons. Complete surround. So much damage going its way. Foot of Gork on the Rattling Guns. That's one way to get rid of weapon teams. I mean, they're on Gork's home turf right now. We're at the Barrier Idols. He's watching this battle. And he's doing more than watching. He's dropping big feetsies. Curb stomping my poor ratties. Warp Grinders charging forward, and this is going to be yet another beautiful combo. Seismic Snare, Warp Quake, not going anywhere, and then Rattling Gun Volley. So look at their speed. They're at 11 speed. So even if they weren't snared, they would barely be moving. Slow as molasses in January, and that lays it all up for Seraphon and Malekith to feast. So epic. The Black Dragon ripping and tearing them apart. And even though they're immune to Psych, it's rather irrelevant when you take 90% casualties in 30 seconds. So they're gone. Master Engineer for the Dwarfs is still alive. Wurzag is still alive. But this is definitely swinging in Team Westside's favor. Tupac would be very pleased if he's still with us today. And the Dwarf Thing Menace finally finishing off the artillery. So it's looking like the win condition for Team Eastside is all but gone at this point. They've still got some fight left in them. But in terms of actually winning this battle, it's going to be incredibly difficult. Wulfric will have to pull out some kind of miracle. Maybe take out Malekith, take out the dragon, find some way to shut down those Rattling Guns, who both have half ammunition, although to be fair, it's not really half, because unlike Medieval 2, when you lose models in this game, you lose out on ammo as well. And they have lost models, so they don't have as much ammo, but it'll certainly be enough to take down Wulfric, and from there, that's the nail in the coffin. Norsca will fight on, but they cannot win. Not at this point. Miststalkers are beasting it up, though. Look at that. God, that was so beastly. Just charging right through the Dark Elves, through the Dread Spears, into the Teeth Breakers. And the concealment bombs won't save you when they're in your face. And they know all about going invisible. They know all about stalking. Slicing heads off left, right, and center. Harpies swarming down. Full surround off on the few that remain. Oh, baby. Yeah, when you've got a mace for a tail, you can do stuff like that. Warp Grinders charging forward. It looks like another Warp Crake, another Seismic Snare, and those Warp Grinders have been amazing this battle. When you pin down enemy Monstrous infantry in place and let the Teeth Breakers and the Rattling Guns go to work, that's what happens. And it was a brutal, torrid affair for both sides. Massive casualties, but in the end, Team Westside, the Western Hemisphere, is going to take the battlefield and will be victorious. And you can see the Plague Claw catapults made a pretty big impact. Warlock Master with 56 kills himself. On top of that, Doom Wheel, Ikit's Zip Zap Cannon. Not a massive amount of kills, but obviously focusing on the single entities. The Chaos Knights, and mostly the Dragon Ogre Shaggoth and Archaon. Khalida, who should have been Katep or the Exiles of Nahek. Well, our Sphinx of Usak didn't get a lot of kills, but again, dueling monsters is its role, so it'd be nice to see the HP damage it was able to do that battle. Stalkers did some real nice plays, though, alongside their Cobra buddies. The Necropolis Knights are a very good unit to patrol that back line. Greenskins, the Wa, they tanked it out in the center for sure. They did a lot of killing with their infantry. Chaos, Dragon Ogre Shaggoths are always scary. Chaos Knights probably got a bit overzealous, though. I think they need to wait a little bit longer. Hold in reserve on top of that cliff for a little bit longer. Wait till more things are committed to the fight and then go in. But the Warp Grinder combination in tandem with the Necropolis Knights and with the Sepulchral Stalkers and Malekith with all his heavy cav would have made that difficult for Chaos anyway. Manus certainly did some killing, 64 kills and 47. Fimir, 50, pretty much 50 across the board actually. Bruce of the Hound and Berserkers hitting that mark as well. And Lizardmen got some kills in the front ranks. Want to give a big shout out to Jedi Master Mundi, Prof, Jurassic, DJ Seahorse, Bagel of War, Rat Smacker, and Stormrunner for joining me in that battle. Subcommanders is always a great time, and that was maybe the biggest yet. Super fun game, crazy epic. Hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time.